Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Muhammad Khuld Ibrahim Nasir. Welcome to the show, The Curious Scout, where I, the Curious Scout, interview and have a chat with these inspiring scouts who have made a lasting impact on the Modi scouting community. This episode, I have with me one of the more important people, specifically to the Hirian scouting group. How are you, Azan sir?
Thank you, Hood. I'm doing alive and well.
Yes, very nice. Now, my first question, like I've been wondering for a while, how are you like as a child when you were a kid? Like, what were your hobbies or interests? Like what?
As a child, I was not a very outdoorsy person like BP, but
So you were.
I was more of a I preferred confined environments, and I like staying in my own spaces, and I enjoy playing video games, watching movies, watching like documentaries and those sort of things. Didn't really enjoy outdoors, but I was more of an inside person.
You said that you were a very indoor person. You didn't go outdoors very much,
Mhm.
right? Then why did you become a scout? What was your main interest in scout?
Well, that's a very good question. The story starts when I was just before joining Cub Scouts, when I was a Cub Scout in Jamaluddin school. I saw that one of the Akelas, I don't know which one was going to be my Akela, but one of the Akelas had a book, had a logbook, and there was a vertical decoration on the book, and in the decoration was a cartoon. A Cub Scout was holding a rifle. So I thought, this is really gonna be cool. If I join Cub Scouts, I'm gonna get this rifle. So this would be a very cool thing. That was the first thought, and I had that thought for about a week. And this is also when school started. So after that week, I decided I want to give it a try and join Cub Scouts to see if I get the gun and those sorts of these cool things.
Yeah.
That's when it started.
Speaking of the outdoors, how was your first camp?
My first camp was in Fedo Finolo.
Oh.
That was a Cub camp, so all of the Jamaluddin school. I cannot remember which year, but the memory is still clear. I remember that all of the packs in Jamaluddin school went to the camp that was held in Fedo Finolo. And I remember that there were a lot of activities, and then in one of the activities I bruised my elbow a lot. I got injured, and then the next activity, I think after two activities, there was swimming, and everyone was in the water in the lagoon, but I was unable to go inside because the medical officer who came with the camp, I think that was the health miss, and she said that I cannot go in the water because I have an injury and it's already the medication has already been applied. So I was sitting on the beach, looking everyone having fun. So I was very disappointed and very sad. But in the end, the camp was a really good camp, and we did not sleep in tents. We were sleeping. I remember we were sleeping in a hall. But apart from that, what I enjoyed most in that camp was a lot of activities that were in the camp. It was a long time back, so I cannot remember what sort of activities were there, but a lot of them were physical activities, and that's what I enjoyed most about the camp. And then even now, same as every child does, I never slept. When the Akel asked me to sleep, I start stories and chat with everyone, and then someone comes in and shouts at us saying, go to bed, you have a lot of things tomorrow and that sort. But yeah, the regular things were all there, but all in all, the camp was great.
Okay. So, how would you advise, like the newcomers now, who come to Scout? Like, how would you tell them like how to prepare as a newcomer for Scout?
Well, it's a very good question. As a newcomer, the boy or the girl, the first thing that they have to do is understand what sort of thing that scouting is doing for them. So to understand that, they should know what scouting is and what sort of things is. So scouting is entirely an outdoors activity. So the newcomer, before joining scouting or in the process of joining scouting, I would advise that the newcomer or the boy or the girl who has an interest to join scouting to expose themselves to the outside world, to nature, to the community, to social activities and these sort of things. There are a lot of things that are happening in this country or everywhere. So I think it's a very important thing that the scout, even if it's skill based or knowledge based, it's important that these children or whoever is joining the movement to expose themselves, to learn about what's going on in the country, to learn about things that people are doing outside, and a lot of these things. Like there are a lot of programs going on, a lot of events, and even when you walk on the road, unexpectedly you see something that you might see something that's going on. But the chances of unexpected learning is something I think is the right term. You would have more chances of learning things unknowingly if you go outside. Like even on the weekend, for about 2 or 3 hours, if you walk outside on the road, you will see a lot of things. You might even learn something new. So scouting is based on these things that are happening outside. Like for an example, even if we are, if I'm a scout, and when I go outside for an activity, yes, of course I'd be doing things in the activity, but unknowingly I would be learning a lot that's happening around me instead of that activity. So that's one of the biggest exposures in scouting. So even before joining, I think it's good that you already start going outside, start exploring what's happening on the outside world. And then I think you would be more prepared and you would understand more about what scouting does to you when you start scouting and when you keep going.
So you told me that you became a scout leader at 2010 on that year. How did you react? How did you feel when you were elected?
In 2010, that's when I completed my basic unit leaders training course. It's the training course that you do to become a scout leader. So to become a scout leader, we have to complete this training course. And after this, I was a rover scout at Dharma, the school back then. And part of the requirements that as a rover scout should complete is that there are some badges where you have to give service as a scout leader. So to fulfill that, I did the training course, and I got approval from my assistant group scout leader Said sir, who was the leader in charge in Dharma, the school back then. And then I talked to other advisors as well, and then they decided that I should start working as a leader in a place where, in school, where scouting is young and new and weak and that sort of a place. So I considered one of the newest scout groups, actually not one of the newest scout group at that time was Hiria School. So I decided I would approach Hiria School and I would work there for a few weeks and then decide if I wanted to work as a scout leader there. So based on my experiences as a Rover Scout working here in Hiria School, I decided that I would talk to the management. So I talked to the assistant principal, who was Miss back then. So I discussed with her about this, and then she agreed that I can work here as an assistant scout leader. So therefore I applied for my warrant, and I was warranted as an assistant scout leader here. And I was also, well, the school was actually an all-female school, but I was the first scout leader here as a male. So that's when I began my journey as a scout leader.
Now, you know how when in scout, you go abroad, some kids get selected. And then, what was your first experience out of Maldives as a scout?
Um, so that was in 2005. I was in grade 8, 2005 in Dharmaunda school. I started Scouts there. Um, so there was the 25th Asia Pacific Regional Scout Jamboree that was held in Thailand. So that was which was held at the end of the year, and that was the very first Scout Jamboree that I participated, and that was also, I believe, was the largest Maldivian contingent that ever participated in an international event. That was my first jamboree, and almost half of the scouts in Dharmaunda school back then. There were 3 troops, so each troop had like 30 to 35 scouts. Like, we were overloaded. Almost half of the whole scout group participated in this event. I didn't know at first what a jamboree was. I had no knowledge, but I knew that this was a camp held in another country. So my experiences in the jamboree was very, very new, and there were a bit of struggles, but through struggles I learned a lot. Things that I did not expect happened there, but I calmly dealt with it, and through my colleagues and other scout leaders, I managed to push myself through all the challenges. And one of the biggest challenges was the camping life, actually, because we were actually camping. We were sleeping in tents. We were cooking in open fire. The real camping was there. So that was one of the things that I had to struggle at this jamboree. And as far as the activities went, I enjoyed almost every activity. The activities were most of the activities were scouting-based activities. Like, for example, activities involved using compasses, activities involved as swimming, making traditional food. Lots of other scouting-based things were there, but what actually caught my attention was the traditional activities that were in the jamboree. They were called, the series of the activities were called the Global Development Village, and in this series of activities, all of them, there were about 5 to 6 activities, I believe, and each one of them was an activity related to the cultures and traditions of Thailand. For example, making different sorts of handiwork, making clay pots, and there was one activity where I was learning martial arts as well.
Okay. What was your biggest achievement as a scout?
My biggest achievement as a scout was the achievement of the Bushman's Thong and the Senior Sash. Back in the day, that was one of the highest, like the minimum highest goals that myself as a scout in Dharmaunda school, we focused. Like, our aim was that, like, each one of you has to try your best to achieve the Bushman's Thong before end of school. So, so we did. I did a lot of work. I did a lot of badges. I participated in a lot of camps and activities, and I was not participating in any other activity apart from the volleyball club. I was just in Scouts, because if it's not school, the rest of the time I would be in Scouts. So worked hard day and night. I did 33 proficiency badges. I got my senior sash, and there were a few advanced badges that I had to complete for the Bushman's Thong. I wasn't working alone. I was working with the bunch of people that were there in my batch. So we worked hard to complete the firefighter badge, the ambulance badge, the explorer badge. So many badges. We did what we had to do to get the Bushman's Thong, and then most of us, some of us, achieved the Bushman's Thong and the senior sash in grade 9. So it was tough. It was tough work to reach that stage when you're in grade 9. The rest of us worked hard and they achieved theirs at the end of grade 9 or the beginning of grade 10. But my head was blasted into it already, so I was going and going and going to make sure that before time is lost, to make sure that I've completed all the badges and to get the Bushman's Thong. So when I achieved that, I realized I have done so much work to achieve this. Like I felt so great. I felt so heavy, as if like wearing these things, achieving these things is actually a really big responsibility for me. And it also gave me thoughts of becoming a leader as well. That was one of the things that, not one of the things, this was the thing that made me start thinking that this is a lot of things on my shoulder. This is a lot of burden on my shoulder. So I think with all this, I have the capacity to work as a leader someday. So yeah, so this is why the Bushman's Thong and the Senior Sash was my biggest achievement in scouting when I was a scout.
For those who don't know, like what the responsibilities of a scout leader are, like what are the responsibilities of a scout leader?
The responsibilities of a scout leader are, there's a lot of responsibilities. In my opinion, the scout leader is someone who plays the father figure in scouting for the young boys. Their job as a scout leader is to deliver or to provide a lot of learning opportunities for the young children. Their job is to prepare the young children or the young boys and the young girls in scouting to develop them and help them become active, responsible, well-disciplined citizens in future. And to do this, to reach this goal, the scout leader has a lot of things to do. One of them is to develop a good bond with the scouts. Because of the father figure role that the scout leader plays in a troop, it is important that the scout leader understands their scouts, to understand their needs, their wants, and these sort of things, and then goes to the second thing, to design the scout program or activities that makes the scouts enjoy, to give them a learning opportunity within those activities.
How long does that usually take, planning the activities?
The planning stage is actually really big, but to simplify it, I would say that generally scout activities are yearly. Some scout groups plan it annually. Some scout groups plan it biannually, which means just for the first 6 months of the year, and then a very few scout groups plan their activities for the first 3 months, which is quarterly. So it depends on the capacity of the scout leaders and the capacity of the scout group. Like each scout group works differently based on the available resources and time and these sorts of things. So I would say that it depends. Like for some scout groups prepare earlier. Some scout groups, depending on the matters and things that need to be discussed and finalized, take a longer time. So planning stage usually varies a lot from scout group to scout group, depending on the nature of the scout group itself.
When was the most fun you had as a scout?
That's a very hard question for me to answer, because I had lots and lots of fun in many events, in many parts of scouting. I would say that as a Cub Scout, what I enjoyed most was cooking. Cooking was really fun. So back at the time, we used to bring stoves and pots and pans and do sorts of cooking. That was one of the most enjoyable experiences as a Cub Scout. As a Scout, what I enjoyed most was participating in jamborees. So I participated in three jamborees. I participated in three jamborees as a scout, and everything that I experienced in these jamborees were the most fun of them all.
So thank you for joining us. I think in this episode, this was a great first episode. First of all, to be with you, maybe like I've never actually gotten to sit down and talk to you and everything. Now I know like this much about you. I am honored. So all the best. Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to be a guest in this program. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay.